The desperate call Captain Sarah Chun stood on the bridge of the U.E.'s Thunderstrike, watching Earth's blue marble slowly shrink in the view screen as her patrol fleet conducted routine exercises in the outer system. It had been 3 months since humanity's first successful faster-than-light engine test, and the military was eager to push the boundaries of their new technology. The Thunderstrike was one of Earth's newest vessels, equipped with experimental weapon systems and the most advanced AI support networks humanity had ever created. The bridge hummed with quiet efficiency as her crew monitored their instruments. Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison sat at the sensor station, tracking debris patterns from the asteroid belt. Chief Petty Officer Lisa Park managed communications, listening to the usual chatter from Earth's orbital stations and lunar bases. Everything was routine until Park suddenly straightened in her chair, pressing her headset closer to her ear. "Captain, I'm picking up something unusual," Park announced, her voice cutting through the bridge's calm atmosphere. "It's not coming from any human source, and the signal pattern is completely unknown." Chun moved to Park's station, feeling her pulse quicken. In the 6 months since humanity had achieved FTL capability, they had explored dozens of nearby star systems without finding any trace of intelligent life. Every world they visited was either barren rock or primitive ecosystems with nothing more complex than basic plant life. "What kind of signal?" Chun asked, studying the waveform patterns on Park's display screen. "It's definitely artificial, Captain. The mathematical structure is too complex to be natural, but it's using frequencies and modulation techniques I've never seen before. The transmission appears to be coming from the direction of the Kepler 442 system, approximately 12 light years away." Chun felt a chill run down her spine. Kepler 442 was one of the first systems humanity had planned to visit once their FTL technology was deemed safe for long-range missions. If there was intelligent life there, first contact protocols would need to be activated immediately. Dr. Marcus Webb, the fleet's xenolinguist and communications specialist, rushed onto the bridge within minutes of being summoned. Webb had spent his entire career preparing for this moment, developing theoretical frameworks for communicating with alien species. His excitement was barely contained as he began analyzing the signal. "This is incredible," Webb muttered, working frantically at his console. "The signal is using mathematical concepts as a foundation, but the linguistic structure is unlike anything in our databases. Wait, there's something here." The bridge speakers crackled to life with strange harmonics and rhythmic patterns that sounded almost musical. Then, through the static and alien sounds, words began to emerge. Not human words, but somehow the meaning became clear in their minds through some kind of universal translation effect. "This is High Counselor Thane of the Zephyrian Confederation," a voice said, carrying tones of desperate urgency. "Our systems are under siege by an ancient enemy we cannot defeat. They call themselves the Void Hunters, and they consume entire worlds to fuel their war machines. We are a peaceful federation with limited military capabilities. Any civilization capable of faster-than-light travel, please respond. We are attempting to evacuate our population centers, but our escape routes have been systematically eliminated. Billions of lives hang in the balance." The bridge fell into stunned silence. Chun felt her mouth go dry as the implications hit her. This was humanity's first contact with alien intelligence, and they were witnessing the destruction of an entire civilization. "Where exactly is this signal originating?" Chun asked. Webb checked his instruments. "The Kepler 442 system, Captain. Based on signal strength analysis, they're broadcasting from multiple locations throughout their star system. The transmission power required suggests they're using everything they have to reach as far as possible." The alien voice continued, growing more desperate with each word. "The Void Hunters appeared without warning 6 days ago. Their ships are massive dark vessels that seem to absorb light itself. They do not communicate or negotiate. They simply arrive, strip mine planets for resources, and move on to the next system. Our defensive fleets were destroyed in the first wave of attacks. We estimate less than 48 hours before they reach our primary population worlds. Chun turned to her tactical officer, Commander Elena Rodriguez. How long would it take us to reach the Kepler 442 system? Rodriguez consulted her navigation computers. At maximum hyperspace velocity, approximately 36 hours, Captain. But that's assuming we can maintain top speed for the entire journey. We've never attempted such a long-range mission with our current technology. What about Earth's other FTL-capable ships? Chun asked. The entire fleet consists of 12 vessels scattered across various training missions throughout the solar system. It would take at least 8 hours to recall them all and prepare for departure. Even then, we're talking about an exploration fleet, not a battle group designed for military operations. Chun paced the bridge, her mind racing. Humanity's FTL fleet was designed for scientific exploration and peaceful contact with alien species. Their weapons were primarily defensive, meant to protect against pirates or asteroid impacts. They had never been tested against an enemy force capable of destroying entire civilizations. The smart decision would be to report this to Earth Command and let the politicians and military strategists decide how to respond. But the desperation in the alien's voice reminded Chun of something her grandfather had told her about the evacuation of coastal cities during the rising sea levels of the early 21st century. Sometimes, by the time the committees finished debating, it was too late to save anyone. Captain, Park interrupted her thoughts. The signal is getting weaker. I think their transmission stations are being systematically destroyed. The alien voice came through the speakers again, but now there were sounds of explosions and chaos in the background. This is High Counselor Thane. The Void Hunters have breached our outer defensive perimeter. We are falling back to our core worlds, but our evacuation ships are being hunted down and destroyed. If anyone receives this message, please know that the Zephyrian Confederation tried to be good neighbors to the galaxy. We shared our knowledge freely with any species we encountered and harmed no one. We do not understand why this ancient evil has awakened to destroy us. Chun made her decision. Park, send an emergency recall message to all fleet vessels. Emergency assembly at Luna Station. Tell them to come prepared for extended deep space operations and possible combat situations. Captain, Rodriguez looked concerned. Are we really going to attempt a rescue mission? We know nothing about this enemy force or what kind of firepower they possess. Our ships weren't designed for major fleet actions. That's exactly why we need to go, Chun replied firmly. These aliens are facing extinction, and if we don't help them, who will? Besides, if this Void Hunter force is capable of consuming entire star systems, they might not stop with the Zephyrians. Earth could be next on their list. Over the next 8 hours, Earth's entire FTL fleet gathered at Luna Station. 12 ships in total, ranging from the heavy cruiser U.E.'s Defiance to the fast scout vessel U.E.'s Mercury. They represented humanity's entire deep space capability, a mixed collection of exploration vessels, research ships, and converted civilian craft that had been equipped with military hardware. Admiral James Harrison transferred his flag to the Defiance and called an emergency meeting of all ship captains. A holographic conference room filled with concerned faces as Chun briefed them on the situation. Some captains were excited about the prospect of first contact with aliens. Others worried about the risks of traveling so far from Earth to face an unknown enemy. What if this is some kind of trap? Asked Captain David Torres of the assault vessel U.S. Warhammer. What if these aliens are trying to lure Earth's entire fleet away from our home system? That's a risk we'll have to take, Admiral Harrison replied. but the desperation in their transmissions seems genuine. Besides, if they had the technology to threaten Earth directly, why would they need to trick us into leaving? Dr. Elena Vasquez, Chief Science Officer aboard the research vessel UES Darwin, raised another concern. We know nothing about their biology, technology, or culture. We might not even be able to communicate effectively once we arrive. And we certainly don't understand the capabilities of these void hunters they're fighting. That's why we're bringing our entire scientific complement, Harrison said. We'll have the journey time to analyze their transmissions and learn everything we can. Hopefully, by the time we arrive, we'll have a better understanding of both our allies and our enemies. The final concern came from Captain Jennifer Walsh of the engineering vessel UES Constructor. Admiral, our ships were designed for exploration and scientific research, not fleet combat operations. If these void hunters are powerful enough to destroy entire civilizations, what can 12 human ships possibly do against them? Harrison looked around the room at his captains. These were experienced officers who had volunteered for humanity's most dangerous missions, pushing the boundaries of known space and technology. Now he was asking them to risk everything for aliens they had never met. I won't order anyone to participate in this mission, Harrison said finally. This operation is strictly voluntary. Any ship that prefers to remain in Earth space can do so without prejudice. But I'm going, and I hope you'll join me. These Zephyrians reached out to anyone who could hear them. They didn't ask what species we were or demand anything in return. They just asked for help. That tells me something important about their character. The captains exchanged glances, having silent conversations through their expressions. One by one, they nodded their agreement. Whatever they were about to face in the depths of interstellar space, they would face it together as representatives of humanity. As the fleet prepared for their jump to hyperspace, Park picked up one final transmission from the Zephyrian system. The signal was extremely weak and distorted, but High Counselor Thane's voice could still be heard through the static. Unknown vessels approaching our system, the transmission said. We detect hyperspace signatures consistent with faster-than-light travel. Please identify yourselves immediately. Are you friend or enemy? Time is running out for our people. The transmission ended abruptly with the sound of massive explosions. Long-range sensors detected enormous energy signatures moving throughout the Zephyrian system, too numerous and powerful to count accurately from such a distance. Admiral Harrison gave the order, and 12 human ships vanished into hyperspace, racing toward a distant star system, where an alien civilization was making its last stand against an enemy that devoured worlds. The 36-hour journey through hyperspace gave the human fleet precious time to prepare for whatever they might find in the Zephyrian system. Dr. Webb worked around the clock aboard the UES Darwin, using every piece of analytical equipment available to decode the Zephyrian transmissions they had recorded. His team included Dr. Priya Sharma, a xenobiologist who specialized in theoretical alien life forms, and Dr. Robert Kim, a tactical analyst with expertise in military strategy and alien technology assessment. The more they learned about Zephyrian society, the more horrified they became. The Zephyrians had achieved interstellar travel over 3,000 years ago, establishing a peaceful confederation of 7 star systems with a combined population of over 8 billion beings. Their technology was incredibly advanced, focused entirely on construction, terraforming, and scientific research. They had never encountered a hostile alien species in their entire history. Their entire civilization is built on the assumption that all intelligent life is naturally cooperative. Dr. Webb reported during one of their daily briefings with Admiral Harrison. They don't even have a word in their language for enemy in the military sense. The closest translation would be competitor or rival in games. This information deeply concerned the human commanders. a species that had never experienced warfare would be completely unprepared for an enemy like the Void Hunters, no matter how advanced their technology might be. Dr. Sharma had been analyzing the technical specifications included in the Zephyrian distress calls. Their ships are marvels of engineering, but they're designed for exploration and colonization, not combat. I haven't found any reference to weapon systems or military equipment in any of their transmissions. Meanwhile, Dr. Kim had been trying to understand more about the Void Hunters based on the fragmentary information in the Zephyrian messages. From what I can piece together, the Void Hunters are an ancient machine intelligence that has been dormant for thousands of years. They appear to follow a simple directive: consume resources and expand their capabilities. They show no interest in communication or coexistence. During the second week of their journey, the fleet began receiving updated transmissions from the Zephyrian system. The signals were much weaker now, suggesting that most of their communication networks had been destroyed. But High Counselor Thane was still broadcasting, and his messages painted an increasingly desperate picture. The Void Hunters have consumed our outer colonies completely. Thane's voice crackled through the static. Entire worlds have been stripped down to their molten cores and converted into raw materials for their war machines. We have consolidated our remaining population on our 3 innermost worlds, but our evacuation ships are being systematically hunted down. Our people are beginning to lose hope. Dr. Webb had made significant progress in understanding Zephyrian language and culture. Admiral, I've been analyzing the mathematical and philosophical concepts embedded in their communications. These beings think in terms of harmony and balance. Their entire approach to problem solving is based on finding cooperative solutions that benefit all parties. The concept of total warfare is literally incomprehensible to them. This cultural analysis helped explain why the Zephyrians had been so completely overwhelmed by the Void Hunter attack. They had spent thousands of years developing technologies for peaceful purposes, never imagining they would need to defend themselves against an enemy that sought only destruction and consumption. As they entered the final week of their journey, Admiral Harrison decided it was time to attempt direct communication with the Zephyrians. Dr. Webb prepared a message using the linguistic patterns they had decoded from the alien transmissions. High Counselor Thane, this is Admiral James Harrison of the Terran Federation Fleet. The message began. We received your distress call and are en route to provide assistance. We will reach your system in approximately 72 hours. Please, provide us with tactical information about Void Hunter capabilities and the locations of your remaining population centers. The response came several hours later, and the relief in Thane's voice was unmistakable despite the alien harmonics. Admiral Harrison, your response fills our hearts with hope that we had thought was lost forever. We are honored that beings from a distant star have chosen to aid strangers in their darkest hour. However, I must warn you that the Void Hunter forces are vast, beyond our ability to comprehend. We estimate over 10,000 vessels of various sizes, from small fighters to massive harvest ships that can strip mine an entire moon in hours. The message continued with detailed tactical information that made the human officers exchange worried glances. The Void Hunters used advanced energy weapons, self-repairing armor, and swarm tactics that overwhelmed any defensive formation. Their larger ships were described as mobile factories that could convert consumed matter into new war machines within hours. Our remaining population is concentrated on 3 worlds, Thane explained. New Zephyr holds our largest civilian population, approximately 3 billion beings. The industrial world of Forge Prime houses our manufacturing centers and another 2 billion citizens. Our capital world of Zephyr Prime contains our government facilities and the remaining 3 billion of OFF. Our people. Captain Walsh analyzed this information and shared her concerns with the fleet commanders. 8 billion civilians on 3 worlds, and we have no capacity to evacuate them with our small fleet. Even if we could somehow defeat the Void Hunters, we don't have the transport capability to relocate that many people. Admiral Harrison felt the enormous weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. 8 billion lives were depending on 12 human ships and crews who had never faced anything remotely like this situation. But he also realized something crucial about their approach to the problem. Maybe evacuation isn't our primary objective. Harrison said during their final planning session before arriving in the Zephyrian system, if we can find a way to destroy or neutralize the Void Hunter fleet, the Zephyrians can rebuild their civilization on their own worlds. Commander Rodriguez looked skeptical as she reviewed the tactical projections. Sir, we're talking about 10,000 enemy vessels against our 12 ships. Our combined firepower might be able to handle a few dozen targets, but the mathematics are completely against us. Then we'll have to fight smarter, not harder, Harrison replied. Humans have been winning battles against superior numbers throughout our entire history. Sometimes the smaller force prevails through better tactics, superior technology, or sheer determination. As the fleet prepared to drop out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zephyrian system, every crew member understood that they were about to participate in humanity's first interstellar war. The outcome would determine not only the fate of an alien civilization, but also Earth's future relationship with the galaxy beyond. Asterisk. When Deathworlders go to war, the human fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Zephyrian system, and their sensors immediately painted a picture of devastation that exceeded their worst fears. The outer regions of the star system were completely empty where planets had once orbited. In their place were massive debris fields and strange geometric structures that could only be Void Hunter installations. "Sweet Jesus," whispered Captain Torres from the UEF Warhammer as the tactical displays updated with contact information. They really did consume entire worlds. Long-range sensors detected the Void Hunter fleet spread throughout the system like a metallic plague. The enemy ships were unlike anything in human experience, appearing to be constructed from dark materials. It seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved in perfect coordination, surrounding the 3 remaining inhabited worlds where the Zephyrian population had made their final stand. Admiral Harrison studied the tactical situation from the bridge of the UES Defiance. The Void Hunter. Vessels ranged in size from small fighters barely larger than human shuttles to massive harvest ships that dwarfed anything in Earth's fleet. The largest enemy vessels were easily 10 kilometers long and bristled with weapon systems that defied easy categorization. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Park from her communication station, "I'm receiving a transmission from a Zephyrian vessel. They're requesting permission to approach under diplomatic immunity." Harrison authorized the meeting, and 3 hours later, the first face-to-face contact between humans and aliens took place in the cargo bay of the UEC's Defiance. High Counselor Thane arrived with a small escort of his people, giving the human crew their first look at an alien species. The Zephyrians were tall and graceful, standing nearly 7 feet in height with elongated limbs and pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. Their faces were angular and aristocratic, with large golden eyes that conveyed both intelligence and profound sadness. Thane himself appeared to be elderly by any species standards, carrying himself with the dignity of someone who had led his people through unimaginable tragedy. "Admiral Harrison," Thane said, his voice carrying harmonics that made it sound like distant music, "I cannot adequately express our gratitude that you traveled so far to aid beings you have never met. In 3 millennia of interstellar civilization, we have never encountered such selfless courage from strangers." Harrison felt a deep sense of sympathy for these elegant beings who were facing extinction through no fault of their own. "Counselor Thane, we came because it was the right thing to do. My species has faced extinction events before. We understand what it means to watch your world die around you. Thane's escort included their chief military advisor, General Keth, who had been coordinating their desperate defensive efforts. Admiral, we have observed Void Hunter operations for 9 days now. Their technology appears to be based on self-replicating nanomachine swarms. They can disassemble matter at the molecular level. They consume everything: planets, asteroids, even the debris from destroyed ships. Do they have any weaknesses we can exploit? Asked Commander Rodriguez. Their smaller vessels can be damaged by concentrated energy fire, but they repair themselves within minutes using consumed matter. The larger ships appear to be nearly indestructible. We managed to damage several escort vessels before our defensive. Platforms were overwhelmed, but we never successfully destroyed a single enemy ship. Dr. Sharma had been analyzing tissue samples and debris that the Zephyrians had recovered from damaged Void Hunter vessels. Her findings added another layer of horror to their situation. Admiral, this isn't just advanced technology. The Void Hunters appear to be a hybrid of artificial intelligence and consumed biological matter. Each ship contains the absorbed essence of countless civilizations they've encountered over millennia. The implications sent chills through everyone present. The Void Hunters weren't just an invading army. They were a collection of every species and culture they had ever consumed, all merged into a single malevolent intelligence driven by an insatiable hunger for growth and expansion. That means every civilization they've destroyed is still alive in some form within their fleet, Thane said, his voice barely above a whisper. Billions of consciousnesses trapped forever in those dark vessels, forced to serve their destroyers. Will, as the humans and Zephyrians shared intelligence, long-range sensors detected new movement throughout the system. The Void Hunter forces were consolidating their positions and beginning to move toward the inner planets, where the remaining civilian population waited in terror. They're starting their final assault, General Keth reported with despair in his. Harmonics. We estimate 18 hours before they reach orbital distance of our populated worlds. Admiral Harrison looked at his small fleet of 12 ships, then at the tactical displays showing thousands of Void Hunter vessels. The odds were mathematically impossible, but 8 billion innocent lives hung in the balance. More than that, if the Void Hunters succeeded here, they would continue spreading throughout the galaxy, consuming every civilization they encountered, until nothing remained but their twisted collective intelligence. "Ben, we'd better get started," Harrison said, and began issuing orders for humanity's first interstellar battle. Captain Chun took the U-East Thunderstrike on a reconnaissance mission to get detailed scans of the enemy fleet. Her report confirmed their worst fears about Void Hunter capabilities. "Admiral, these ships don't follow any design principles I recognize. The smaller ones look like geometric nightmares made of dark metal and organic components. The larger vessels are actively feeding on a captured asteroid field, growing bigger as we watch." Dr. Webb had been working with Zephyrian scientists to understand Void Hunter communication patterns. They don't use traditional radio or subspace communications. Instead, they seem to share information through quantum entanglement networks that connect their entire fleet. It's like fighting a single organism with thousands of bodies spread across the star system. This discovery gave Harrison an idea that was either brilliant or completely insane. If they're all connected through quantum networks, what would happen? If we could introduce a disruptive signal into their communications? Dr. Sharma looked up from her analysis station. Theoretically, it might cause coordination problems or even system crashes in their network. But we'd need to physically interface with their technology to inject such a signal. That would require boarding one of their ships. The thought of humans boarding Void Hunter vessels filled everyone with dread, but Harrison saw it as their only realistic chance of victory. Traditional ship-to-ship combat would be a massacre, but humans had always excelled in irregular warfare and desperate boarding actions. "We need volunteers for what might be a one-way mission," Harrison announced to the fleet. "We're going to attempt something that's never been tried before. We're going to take the fight inside their network." Captain Rodriguez was the first to respond. "Admiral, my Marines and I volunteer for boarding operations. We trained for hostile ship environments, and we're not backing down now." One by one, the other ship captains offered their crews for the most dangerous mission in human history. These were explorers and scientists who had signed up to push the boundaries of human knowledge and protect their species. Now they were volunteering to risk everything to save an alien civilization from a fate worse than death. The plan that emerged was audacious in its simplicity. The human fleet would conduct a diversionary attack on the Void Hunter perimeter forces, drawing their attention, while small teams of Marines used stealth shuttles to approach and board several of the massive command vessels. Once inside, they would attempt to plant specialized computer viruses designed by Earth's best cybersecurity experts, adapted for alien quantum networks. Dr. Kim had worked with the fleet's AI specialists to develop the viruses. These programs are designed to propagate through quantum-entangled networks, causing cascade failures in distributed processing systems. If we can introduce them into multiple command nodes simultaneously, the entire Void Hunter fleet might lose coordination. The attack began at dawn on the third day after the human fleet's arrival. The UES Defiance and 5 other heavy ships engaged the Void Hunter perimeter forces, using every weapon in their arsenal to create maximum chaos and confusion. Human missile salvos and particle beam attacks lit up the darkness between worlds, drawing thousands of enemy vessels toward the apparent threat. Meanwhile, 6 stealth shuttles launched from the remaining human ships, carrying Marine boarding teams toward the massive Void Hunter command vessels. The shuttles used experimental cloaking technology and flew through the debris fields of consumed planets, hoping to avoid detection until the last possible moment. Sergeant Major Patricia Williams led the first boarding team aboard their target, a 5-kilometer-long command ship that bristled with weapons and sensor arrays. The interior of the Void Hunter vessel was a nightmare of organic and mechanical components, fused together in impossible configurations. The walls pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, and the air was filled with sounds that seemed to come from the absorbed consciousnesses of countless dead civilizations. "This place is like being inside the belly of some cosmic horror," Williams reported through her com system as her team fought their way toward what their sensors indicated was the ship's central processing core. The Void Hunters had internal defenses, spider-like drones that attacked with energy weapons and swarms of nanomachines that tried to disassemble the Marines' armor. But humans had been fighting in hostile environments for thousands of years, and they adapted quickly to the alien threats. Chief Petty Officer Mike Santos found the quantum communication hub after 2 hours of running battles through the ship's twisted corridors. "I've located the primary network node," he reported. "Beginning virus upload now." Similar reports came in from the other boarding teams as they fought their way to their objectives. The Marines suffered casualties, but their determination never wavered. They understood that the fate of 2 civilizations depended on their success. In the depths of these alien vessels, the computer viruses began to take effect 30 minutes after the first successful upload. Void Hunter ships throughout the system started experiencing coordination failures and system crashes. Some vessels stopped moving entirely, while others began attacking their own hull eyes in confusion. The perfect unity of their hive mind was fracturing under the assault of human-designed chaos algorithms. Admiral Harrison seized the opportunity and ordered a full fleet assault on the largest Void Hunter command ships. Human weapons, designed for precision rather than overwhelming firepower, proved surprisingly effective against enemies whose defensive systems were crashing and rebooting randomly. The battle raged for 18 hours across the entire Zephyrian. System. Human ships darted between massive enemy vessels, like fighters attacking battleships, using their superior maneuverability to stay ahead of weapons that could vaporize them with a single hit. The Zephyrians, inspired by human courage, joined the fight with their own ships, using their advanced technology to support human attack runs. The turning point came when Captain Chun's boarding team successfully planted a master virus in the primary Void Hunter command vessel. The massive ship, which had been coordinating the entire enemy fleet, suddenly went dark. Without central coordination, the remaining Void Hunter vessels began to behave erratically, some fleeing the system, while others turned on each other in mechanical confusion. Dr. Sharma watched the enemy fleets collapse from her station aboard the UES Darwin. "Admiral, I'm reading massive system failures throughout their quantum network. It's like watching a brain-damaged organism trying to remember how to function." Within 6 hours, the threat was over. Some Void Hunter vessels had fled to other star systems, while others had been destroyed by human weapons or their own confused allies. The remainder floated dead in space, their malevolent intelligence finally silenced after millennia of cosmic destruction. High Counselor Fane's voice came over the communication channels, filled with harmonics of joy and disbelief. "Admiral Harrison, your species has accomplished something we thought impossible. You have not only saved our civilization, but potentially freed countless absorbed consciousnesses from their eternal torment." The aftermath of the battle revealed the true scope of human achievement. Analysis of the defeated Void Hunter vessels showed that they contained the absorbed remains of over 200 different civilizations, spanning 50,000 years of galactic history. The computer viruses had not only disabled the fleet, but had also begun the process of separating these trapped consciousnesses from their mechanical prison. As recovery operations began, Admiral Harrison stood on the bridge of the UES's Defiance, looking out at the Zephyrian worlds that still glowed with the light of living civilization. 8 billion beings would continue to exist because 12 human ships had answered a desperate call for help from across the galaxy. "Admiral," Dr. Webb reported from his analysis station, "we're receiving communications from dozens of star systems. Word of our victory is spreading, and other civilizations are reaching out to establish contact with humanity." Harrison nodded, understanding that everything had changed. Humanity was no longer alone in the galaxy, and their reputation as the species from the Deathworld that had defeated an ancient cosmic horror would precede them wherever they traveled. Captain Chun joined him at the viewport. "So what happens now, Admiral?" Harrison smiled, thinking about the future that stretched ahead of them. "Now we go home and tell Earth that the galaxy is full of friends who are waiting to meet us. And if any other ancient horrors decide to wake up and threaten innocent civilizations, they'll have to deal with humanity first." The human fleet departed the Zephyrian system 3 weeks later, leaving behind a civilization that would rebuild stronger than before and carry the story of human courage to every corner of the galaxy. Earth's children had taken their first steps into the wider universe, and they had announced their presence not with conquest or domination, but with the simple willingness to fight for strangers who needed help. The age of humanity among the stars had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. Asterisk.